Before showing you this part that you are going to see after my lecture here about the codes, you are going to see this part of the television about the Bible code relating to the same story, the story of the 5 books of Moses, the appearance of 50 letters and so on. So let us see first and hear really what I spoke about it and I showed, and then we saw the television which appears in YouTube as the proof of God. So let us hear now what I have to say about it.
You will see what are really Torah codes and what is the difference between codes in Torah and other books. So this is example with Rabbi Weissman, who was the first one really who about 78 years ago found these things without computers. And also you will see that codes are really connected with Kabbalah, which is not a phenomenon which people think like a game, a play. It is really based on Kabbalah, and in the light of Kabbalah one can understand it. Now, what Rabbi Weissman looked for? He looked for the word Torah, as you can see on Torah, appearing every 50 letters in the beginning of Genesis, Bereshis. Now, why 50? Because our rabbis tell us there are 50 gates of understanding which we have them in the Torah. In fact, Moses got only 49 of them, as our rabbis tell us. Now we see this phenomenon also appearing in this case. Now, what you see here is the book Bereshis, which is the first one, Genesis, and you have here the number 50, which means that every line here contains 50 letters, so that you have from this Tav to this Vav 50 letters, to the Resh 50 letters, and then to the A. It means you have Torah appearing every 50 letters, 50 gates of understanding, from the first letter Tav in the Torah, which is the word Bereshis, right? Then he looked at the second book, which is Exodus, to find out whether it appears there also. So let us see, go to the book Exodus. Right now we are in Bereshis, we are now looking into Exodus, which in Hebrew is Shmot. You can see this is Shmot in Hebrew, and we want to see here the book of Shmot, where Torah appears also every 50 letters. So let us see now quickly. Yeah, so the Torah 50, here you have Torah 50, and we are going to see it just now where it appears, and it appears in the place here, Torah 50. The place is here. You see the book Shmot, Exodus. You see again every 50 letters, and Bet is the second book, Exodus, and again you have the letters Torah appearing every 50 letters, every line of 50 letters in it, and the skip is 50, like Genesis. Professor Ibs said that this is for him was near proof of the codes. To have Torah appearing every 50, which you got to Kabbalah, is exactly the number connected with Torah, 50. Now, in the book Leviticus, he looked for the name of God appearing there. We'll explain later on why, what is the connection between the 50 and the 5 books of Moses, but we see here in Leviticus, and we'll understand afterwards really why. In Leviticus, you see Vayikra in Hebrew. This is Vayikra in Hebrew. We are looking for the name of God, which is Yud K Vav K, Yud K Vav K, which is, this is the name of God, Yud K Vav K. And then now we look where it appears in the first time, also like the others, in skip letters, and we see here, sorry, it was Yud K Vav K, it should be this one, right? Yud K Vav K, and it appears here, can see Vayikra, the name of the book Vayikra, Leviticus, and here 8, every 8 letter, Yud Ke Vav Ke. Now, in Kabbalah, the number 8 and number 50 are connected because both numbers indicate to supernatural. Because 50 is above 49, 7 times 7, 7 is the number of nature, and 50 is above the same thing, number 8, which is above 7. So basically 8 and 50 have the same concept. Now he looked into the book Numbers, right, which is the 4th book, and he wanted to see where Torah appears there, right, and then again 50 letters, Torah, you will see, Torah coming here 50, every 50 letter, and the place here is here, you see? Bamidbar, the book Bamidbar, again, 50, for the first book, right, the first letter, but you have Torah backwards. There's an explanation why Torah backwards, but Torah appears here also every 50. So we saw in Genesis every 50, we saw in Exodus every 50 from the first Tav, and here we see in Vayikra and Leviticus every 8 letters God's name, and here we have Torah also 50 backwards, but it's Torah backward. Now what happens in Deuteronomy? Now in Deuteronomy he looked for the number 49. Why not 50? Because our rabbis tell us that the Deuteronomy was said by Moses differently than the other books which were directly from God. Deuteronomy, Dvarim, Moses said according to God, but it was his mouth who said the words, while the previous 4 were directly from God. So says Moses got only 49 gates of understanding, so in Deuteronomy should be number 49 Torah. So he looked for it, and this really what happened, looking for Torah every 49 letters. So this is a place, Torah 49, yeah, for Torah 49, and you see where it appears, here, you see Torah backwards, also backwards a number every, and it comes Be'eret HaTorah, explaining the Torah. Now, Torah here does not appear because this is only a story describing the previous 4 books. Really, Torah, starting explaining the Torah, was here. This is why Torah appears here every 49 letters, as Moses got 49 gates of understanding. Now, the second stage, we are going to explain to you really what is the meaning of it, of being 50 and 49, by why the first 2 from up to down, and the last 2 from down to up, and why the name of God is really every 8.
Now, what we are going to do now is a part of the television of the proof of God, and we are going to see just now, and also speaking about this phenomena of the 5 books of Moses, but we see the explanation is not as deep as we mentioned. So let us see what this television, and you can see here, it appears in YouTube by Bible Code, the proof of God, and let us see what they say and how they show it, and we see the difference, but really is between what I told you, the explanations, the deep explanation of the 50, the 49, the above nation, beside nation. Then we see also explanation about the 5 books parallel to the 5 parts of the spirit, of the soul, and definitely representing in this shape also this idea. So let us see what they have this in television.
Rabbi Michael Ber Weissman, a childhood Talmudic and mathematical prodigy in Czechoslovakia prior to World War II, survived the Holocaust and after the war emigrated to the United States. Weissman Weissmandl, while still a young man, had stumbled onto the notes of the 13th century Rabbi Bakya, suggesting that divine information could be derived from the Torah by means of skipping a specific interval of letters. Now, with all the horror behind him, Weissmandl returned to the fascination of his youth, the possibility of a mysterious Bible code.
Rabbi Weissmandl, through his diligence and determination in his studies of the Torah, made some remarkable discoveries. The word Torah in Hebrew consists of 4 letters, a Tau, a Vav, a Resh, and a Hey, which are equivalent for us to talk about as if it was a T, an O, an R, and an H. We should note here that the Hebrew alphabet consists of 22 letters that are essentially consonants. Vowels are generally simply inferred. The Vav operates sort of what we consider as an O, but is not considered a vowel. In the book of Genesis, if you go to the first equivalent of a T and count 49 letters, and then take the next one, in other words, the 50th letter, is the equivalent of what we would consider a Vav. It's what we would consider an O. You count another 50 letters, it's a Resh, or like our R. You count another 50 letters, and you come to a Hey, or like an H. In other words, it's as if you found a T-O-R-H at 49-letter intervals. It spells the word Torah. Rather remarkable in its own right, but one of those things you could dismiss as just a happenstance. But when you get to Exodus, you discover the same thing happens. You come to a T, 49 letters plus 1, you get to the O, the R, and the H the same way. And so again, this starts to look very designed. In fact, it's rather interesting that this number 50 are the number of days from the Exodus to the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. In pursuing this further, you go to the book of Leviticus, the 3rd book, and there's nothing like this happens. But you go to the 4th book of the Torah, the book of Numbers, the same thing happens, but only if you spell Torah backwards. Kind of weird. You go to the book of Deuteronomy, again you find the equivalent thing, but only if you spell it backwards. Now, you wonder, what does this mean? And you stand back from it all, it's as if those 4 books are pointing to the middle book, 2 forward, 2 back, to the book of Leviticus. So you examine Leviticus more carefully, and you discover not 49-letter intervals, but 7-letter intervals. Every 8th letter, you have the word Yahweh, or the name of God. And you stand back from this whole thing, and you realize the Torah is always pointing to the name of God. Rabbi Weissmandl's discovery is the first modern hint of hidden codes in the Bible, and of course has led to using computer to find others. Professor Daniel Michelson at UCLA has estimated that the probability of Weissmandl's discovery happening by accident is less than 1 in 3 million.
This discovery also has great significance to the ancient menorah lampstand, still used in Jewish practices today.
Like the lamps in Israel's ancient lampstand, the Hebrew word for law was encoded at 50-letter intervals in the opening paragraphs of Genesis and Exodus. The Eastern lamps point toward the servant lamp, the lamp of God, which was elevated above the others. Leviticus reveals that servant lamp design with Yahweh, the Hebrew word for Jehovah, encoded at 8-letter intervals in its opening verse. In the ancient menorah, the western lamps were reversed to point toward the servant lamp. Following that design, the word Torah was found to be encoded backwards in the introductory paragraphs of Numbers and Deuteronomy. Just as the lamps on either side of Israel's ancient menorah were ignited from the flame of the elevated lamp of God, these 4 encoded Torahs point to the glory of Yahweh, or Jehovah, in Leviticus.